focusing on XAT. I'm talking about XAT 2023 and talking about last minute tips for XAT 2023. Some of the things that you need to remember about for tomorrow and day after. Most importantly, day after tomorrow during the exam time. It's not much preparation that you can do any longer, so you have to wind down your preparations now. Tomorrow, take a day off, spend some time I mean, you've gone through a drill after you've taken CAT. You've gone through a drill of how the last day pans out and what do you do on the last day. So don't study much tomorrow. Focus on creating a little bit of self belief in yourself because now skill development time is over for that. Given the fact that we are 2 days away from the exam, so skill development time is over. You can't study much tomorrow कि कल कुछ पढ़ लोगे और परसों कुछ हो जाएगा ऐसा ऐसा hope मत करो. So tomorrow I think you should focus on reminding yourself about the good things in your life, the good things that exist in your life, the good things that exist in your skill levels, in your overall life position as such. Remind yourself that whatever happens in the exam, you're going to believe in yourself, and you are somebody who's going to make it big no matter what. Whether day after tomorrow goes well or not, it does not matter. It's just a small. If it goes well, great. If it does not go well, it's just a small blip on your life, which you'll overcome over the in the next few years, and that's actually how it is. I've been training students for the last 25 odd years, 25 plus years for CAT and all other exams. It's a cold day in Delhi, so I'm kind of all jacketed up, as you can see. But as I said, I've been training people for the last 25 odd years, and there have been a lot of successful stories that I've had amongst my students. But at the same time, I've also seen a lot of failures among students where people could not, in spite of their best efforts, actually perform in this exam. And if you talk to most of those people, 5 years, 7 years down the line, if you met most of those people, like I do meet my students all the time, you realize that they were more or less fine. They were able to overcome a bad performance in their MBA prep tests, etc. And the same thing will happen with you in case you don't get the outcomes you think you deserve and you want. It doesn't matter. If you I mean you will always, it'll be a small blip. I mean, there'll be a gradient that you will get in case you get through. If you don't get through, you'll still find that gradient, you'll make that gradient in your this thing. And I often tell people that no event in 2023 is going to be so debilitating for you that it'll hurt you in 2030. Just like no event, no negative outcome of 2015-16. Suppose you had a bad, you were trying to do something in 2015 and you're not able to do it, and you failed at doing it. So were you able to recover from that point or not? Right? So were you able to recover from that point or not? The answer will be yes. No event of 2015. If it does not kill you, it makes you stronger. That's how it is. So just keep that attitude during the test, and get that attitude going before you start taking the exam. So make sure that you remind yourself of your alternate plans. Find a lot of good things that you want to do over the next year or so in case you're not getting to a top B school this year, because that kind of is your last chance. And of course, those who have done well in CAT, you have a second chance to do well. But for those of you who have not done well in CAT and whose outcomes have been below par, I'm great Gyan. So just to feel a little cold in Delhi. Those of you who have not done well in CAT, there's a chance for you to redeem the year, right? So it's like a second chance, God sent second chance. You get to XLRI, you are on par with IIM Ahmedabad, Bangalore, Calcutta, as simple as that. You can look at the career outcomes of people who passed out of XLRI around my time, or even later, mid 90s, early 2000s, and you compare those career outcomes with people from Ahmedabad, Bangalore, Calcutta, and you will see that the career outcomes are almost similar. You'll not be able to find out कि ये XLRI से इसलिए थोड़ा नीचे है versus ये अहमदाबाद से तो ऊपर है. So you will get that same opportunity from that B school. And hence, uh, I advise people that you don't get too stuck up about the IIM brand name. Uh, yes, IIM will give you a more chip in your society, a bigger chip. Ahmedabad, Bangalore, Calcutta specifically gives you a bigger chip on your shoulder in society. But that does not matter really, because of the fact that if you look at look at the whole point of an MBA. The whole point of an MBA is that you're going to change your society, this society that you live in, the neighbors you live with, and everything. If you actually go into a top B school and do an MBA, it's all going to change. Your complete peer group is going to change. Your ambitions are going to change. Your outcomes are going to change. So it does not matter. I mean, so what you have to understand is your journey is more important than what other people think about you. So anyway, that's this thing. So let's focus on since this is a ZAT session, ZAT specific session. Let's focus on on the exam per se, right? So you got 165 minutes for it's a 3 hour 10-minute exam. So 190 minutes का exam कर दिया इन्होंने from 165 plus 15. I think they've made it into 165 plus 25. And so it remains, and you are going to expect 75 questions in the first section, in the first part of the paper, and you're free to go ahead with all three sections as with as much time as you want. So that's a very major difference when you talk about ZAT versus the CAT, where your timing is kind of fixed and restricted in terms of how much time you can give to any to any section. So that's something that is one major difference. So is difference ka usage you should do for a plus minus 5 delta. By delta I mean time wise. So what happens is the calculations are pretty simple in the ZAT. 75 questions, 165 minutes. It means it's a 2.2 minutes per question exam. And hence, if a section has 26 questions, like the verbal section is expected to have, you are going to, or 25 questions, whatever, you just multiply. When you look at the section, multiply the section by 2.2 to identify the time you should be giving to that section. And stick strictly to those timelines. So if you have, let's say, a section with 22 questions like DM, you will allocate 22 into 2.2, basically for 48.4 minutes. 22 square is 484, so 48.4 minutes is what you will allocate to the DM section, right? And of course, and so that becomes your timeline. So you have to have these strict timelines ready for yourself before you start solving the paper. And then of course, strategy wise, you can do a plus minus 5 delta on individual sections. So if you want 10 minutes extra on a section, then you pull out 5 minutes from the two other sections, because you will want 10 minutes extra on a section because you're scoring higher, your scoring rate. So what will happen is, in verbal and logical, then in DM and in quants, in all the three sections, you will have a scoring rate. So you have to, and you should know by now where your scoring rates are highest. So जहाँ पे भी scoring rate highest है, उस section में you might want to give 10 minutes extra. So for example, if your verbal scoring rate is highest and your by default time is coming out to be 57 minutes after multiplying by 2.2, the number of questions into 2.2, if it's coming out to be 57 minutes for you, you might want to give 67 because you score faster, you score more in verbal. So 10 minutes extra in verbal has to be brought out from 5 minutes from quants and 5 minutes from DM. But when you bring out those 5 minutes from those sections, you ensure that you first ensure that you are qualifying the cutoffs, right? So लास्ट 2 days में कोई रिविजन करो मत, जो तुमको याद है वो याद रहेगा. फॉर्मूले वामले देख सकते हो, अदरवाइज आई डोंट एडवाइज मच रिविजन. दिस इज नॉट अ लास्ट डे एग्जाम. आई मीन एनी एप्टीट्यूड टेस्ट इज नॉट अ लास्ट डे एग्जाम. वॉट एवर स्किल्स you have those skills are more or less fixed. Aptitude tests don't work the way college tests work. College test में लास्ट दिन तैयारी नहीं करोगे तो डिजास्टर हो जाएगा. मैं इंजीनियर नहीं बनता अगर लास्ट दिन तैयारी नहीं करता, right? I would have failed all my college exams. But in aptitude exams, You don't keep things on the last day. It doesn't work कि आज पढ़ाई कर ली और कल एग्जाम में आ जाएगा. It does not work that way, right? Uh, Studied a lot, fine, but it's about performance now, right? So the focus is now on performance completely. This exam is not about ability. I mean, as you know now, CAT, XAT, all these aptitude exams are about ability and performance both. So you don't have to manage only the ability development part of your process, but also manage the performance part of the process, and it's very critical that you prepare that way. So those of you going for CAT 23 or XAT 24 and listening to this is one part of your prep cycle that you should remember. A lot of people, what they do is they focus completely only on skills development, and they don't build their ability to the point. I mean, there's a cycle. I mean, ultimately, when you talk about preparing well for these exams, there's a cycle of ability building, and then there's a cycle of belief building. Unless both these cycles of preparation is complete, you will not be able to perform in the exam. So it has to be ability followed by belief, right? So ability grows, and once ability grows and you prove to yourself that you can do this over and over again, that's when belief grows. Okay? So yes, verbal in XAT is normally quite difficult. There are times where, and XAT has this tendency in all sections. Some questions are very cryptic and very difficult, so you will have to avoid those questions. अगर वैसा question आता है, तो avoid करना उस questions को. ठीक है? Panic a lot from the moment the screen starts. That's because you are, while solving, you're thinking too much about the result. You can't be thinking about the result. You have to be, just like you expect the Indian cricket team to go out and play freely in a match, you'll do exactly the same. The moment you allow your emotions to come into the picture, that's when you're going to start failing. So let me just complete the key points. 4-5 key points बताना था मेरे को. पहला तो section time division हो जाएगा, right? Of course, be a little bit flexible with your sectional time division. I mean, if you've decided that I want to give 60 minutes in verbal and 45 minutes in DM and 61-62 minutes, 60 minutes odd in quants. If you've decided that, on the day, be a little bit flexible कि तुम इसको 60 को 62 भी कर सकते हो, plus minus 2 minutes कर सकते हो इधर उधर. वो थोड़ा सा flexibility रखो based on the paper, because ultimately your strategy has to also mutate according to the paper. So if you go in with too fixed a strategy and you're not flexible on during the exam, you end up making strategic errors which will make which will lead to underperformance. So that's the second part. Second thing I want to talk about. The third thing I want to talk about is the attitude while solving questions. Right from the first minute in the paper, if you come across a question where there are two options between which you are confused, you start marking those answers. Try to. If typically, if by default, if there are two options in which you are confused, you are in a 50-50 situation, right? Of course, as far as you are amongst those people who have that skill, that you come down to two options and one of them is the right answer, the other is what you sometimes mark. So you get some of them wrong and some of them right. So अगर तुम्हारा स्किल लेवल वो है कि दो ऑप्शन में पहुंचे और आंसर कुछ तीसरा होता है, तब ये काम मत करना. But if you are amongst those people who reach the point where there are two options and you know that one of them is right, so right from the first minute, start marking all those questions, because of that minus 0.1 negative logic for after 8 questions, 8 unattempted questions के बाद तुम्हारे नेट स्कोर से -0.1 घटाने लगेंगे. तो अगर तुमने 15 क्वेश्चन अनअटेम्प्टेड छोड़ दिए तो तुम्हारे नेट स्कोर से -0.7 घटेगा. So what I'm trying to why I tell you this is because, as I said, by default, if you are in two options and you have the skill to get to one of them being the right one, and you're sometimes not able to differentiate between the right one and a close option, so then keep marking in this ad, because if it's a 50-50 call and through some skill and ability of your ability to perceive solutions better, if you can actually get to, you're not able to remove one option completely, but you think the other one is right, and you end up getting 60% of those correct, not, and because of your skill, you're able to raise 50-50. I mean, as I said, if you're down to two options, a coin toss will give you 50-50, right? Coin toss will give you 50-50 outcome. But if you are down to two options and you apply skill there and you can get to a 60-65-35 situation, then you should be marking all those questions in the exam. That's a very important point, because the thumb rule is that 8 questions तुम्हारे किसी भी हालत में छूट ही जाएंगे, राइट. सो एंड में तुम्हारा कुछ क्वेश्चन में तुमको समझ में नहीं आएगा, कुछ क्वेश्चन कोई DI सेट छूट जाएगा, तो 8 क्वेश्चन तो बाय डिफॉल्ट तुम्हारे छूट जाएंगे. सो व्हेन यू कम अक्रॉस अ क्वेश्चन which you have read the whole thing and you've read the whole question and you have reached the point where you have thought through the question and now you're down to 2 options, तो वैसे क्वेश्चन को छोड़ने लगोगे तो तुम्हारे हर क्वेश्चन में -0.1 आएगा. So if you start marking those, and even if you get a 50-50 on the day, suppose you mark 20 such questions on the day, and even if you get 50-50 on those, you'll get 10 correct and you'll get 10 wrong. So 10 correct will give you +10, 10 wrong will give you -2.5. So you'll get a +7.5 marks. If you had not marked all those 10-20 questions because you are not sure of the answer, you would have got -2 marks. 10-20 into -0.1. So you would have got -2 marks there, versus you're getting an expected score of 7.5, even at a 50-50 ratio. So that would mean that you are raising your score by 9.5 marks, which is significant in the XAT. So that's a big aspect of the strategy that you need to remember for the D-Day. DM में again, as I said, DM और quants में DI में कभी कभी कुछ बहुत cryptic questions आते हैं, बहुत difficult questions भी देते हैं वो लोग. So there's a mix. So DI last year they raised the number of DI questions from number of DI sets from 2 to 4, and this is the first time that XAT gave 4 DI sets of 12 questions out of 28 in the QA-DI section. If they repeat that, maybe I think normally XAT has always gone trend-wise. So if they take a decision to go in a direction which seems that they have done last year, so you can expect more of the same. So last year के paper में one set was extremely difficult. It was CAT level. मतलब you could put that question in the CAT exam and take a CAT question and put it instead of that, and you'll not know which question belongs to which exam, difficulty wise. So that's one thing. So you had to, I mean, and two were pretty decently difficult and one was easy. So you have to make sure that, I mean, for me, given the fact that you have prepared for CAT DI, you have to try to get the XAT DI done, because it's one of the easier ways to crack this exam. If you can do 3 sets and get 9 questions, or do all the 4 sets and get 12 questions through, so it's a significant jump to your score, right? And it takes the pressure off the quants section. So quants में उसके बाद अगर suppose तुमने तीन सेट कर लिए 12 में से 4 में से, और 4 सेट आए पहले बात, और 4 सेट में से 3 सेट तुमने कर लिए, and you end up getting 9 questions there, 9 marks there. And then, so what happens is the remaining 16 questions of quants में 28 questions अगर आ रहा है quants में, तो quants DI section में, तो remaining 16 questions में you have what? You can kind of solve even 5-6 of them and still get a 15 marks in the section, which is huge in the XAT, because given the fact that you need to score 40s to get a high 99 percentile, तो उसमें से 15-16 एक सेक्शन में आ जाएगा, तो बाकी सेक्शन में भी 12 भी ले आओगे तो तुम्हारा 40 क्रॉस कर जाता है, राइट. So DI has to be part of the strategy. लेकिन DI में बी केयरफुल, अगर कोई बहुत ही ट्विस्टेड सेट है तो उसमें फंस मत जाना कि 15-20 मिनट निकाल दिए तो एक भी क्वेश्चन सॉल्व नहीं हुआ. वो काम मत करना, बिकॉज अदरवाइज वो सेक्शन डिजास्टर हो जाएगा. एंड इवन डिसीजन मेकिंग में अगर पास देखोगे, and this is true in quants also and verbal also, there's a splattering. एक क्वेश्चन बहुत आसान रहेगा, अगला बहुत ही ट्विस्टेड रहेगा, बहुत डिफिकल्ट रहेगा. So XAT में कभी कभी एकदम, I mean, some questions completely go off the charts in terms of difficulty level. right? So they become even more difficult than the cat at times. So so अगर वैसा कोई set मिलता है decision making में तो उसको avoid कर लेना. Don't spend time on that, and rather take that time, do an extra RC, do an extra DI set, do something like that, but avoid that set in case you come across something like that. So if you look at the past decision making questions, which you must have seen by now, you'll understand what I'm saying there, right? There have been some sets which have been like just read and react and you get the answers. It's very simple and obvious. And then there are others where even after a lot of thought and a lot of number crunching etc, उसके बाद भी आंसर्स सही निकालना बहुत मुश्किल होता है उसमें. तो बी अ लिटिल बिट केयरफुल ऑफ दोस सेट्स अगर वो देते हैं तो. आई एम एक्सपेक्टिंग कि मतलब अगर गेस करना है मेरे को तो आई वुड पुट माई मनी ऑन मे बी 1 or 2 सेट्स बीइंग लाइक दैट दिस ईयर. आई डोंट एक्सपेक्ट ऑल द 6-7 सेट्स टू बी एकदम सिंपल. हो सकता है एक क्वांटिटेटिव डिसीजन मेकिंग का सेट आ जाए तो उसके लिए भी तैयार रहना. And take that decision and be very conscious of the time that you've allotted to this thing. So don't एक और फैक्टर होता है, बहुत बार टाइम मिसकैलकुलेशन हो जाता है एग्जाम में. तो don't make sure that you are very conscious of the time that you are defining for every section, right? तो 60 मिनट है तो 60 मिनट है तो तुम्हारा एक टाइमर रन डाउन कर रहा होगा तो 165 मिनट से अगर स्टार्ट करता है वो तो अगर तुमने डिसाइड किया है कि वर्बल में तुमको 60 मिनट देना है तो 105 के आसपास तुमको ख़त्म करना है उसको. और देन द थंब रूल हैज़ टू बी कि इफ़ यू आर ट्राइंग टू अटेम्प्ट 18 to 20 क्वेश्चंस आउट ऑफ 26 तो एवरी 3 मिनट्स में तुम्हारा एक अटेम्प्ट होना चाहिए, राइट? सो डोंट क्रिएट एन अटेम्प्ट इम्बैलेंस कि 35 मिनट हो गए और 4 ही अटेम्प्ट हुए और तुमको 20 अटेम्प्ट करने का टारगेट था. तो उस तरह का इम्बैलेंस मत क्रिएट करना. डोंट अलाउ दैट इम्बैलेंस टू हैपन. अटैक द एग्जाम डायरेक्टली. It's like KL Rahul playing out maiden overs in T20 matches. Don't do that, right? So the first 10 minutes you have to get 3 or 4 questions done in the verbal section if you're starting with verbal. Of course, you have the option of starting with quants or starting with DI with DM. So वो option है तुम्हारे पास यहाँ पे. कुछ लोग मेरे से पूछ रहे थे कि शुड वी ऑल्सो थिंक ऑफ बिकॉज टाइमिंग तो कम्प्लीटली ओपन है तो शुड वी थिंक ऑफ स्प्लिटिंग सेक्शंस ऑल्सो कि क्वांट डी आई में क्वांट एक सेक्शन मतलब 30 मिनट स्टार्ट में 30 मिनट्स क्वांट कर लिया. 60 मिनट्स अगर क्वांट डी आई में दे रहे हैं तो 30 मिनट्स में क्वांट्स क्वेश्चंस कर लिए फिर 30 मिनट्स में डी आई बाद में कर रहे हैं लास्ट 30 मिनट्स में. उस तरह से करोगे फ्रैगमेंट कर लोगे पेपर को उतना ज़्यादा तो बहुत बार क्या हो जाता है कि too much fragmentation say you lose track of what you have done and what you have not done. So I don't advise doing that much. It's better to play 3 different innings inside the paper, and once you finish a section you just don't take the temptation कि वापस जाके कुछ और कर लेता हूँ वहाँ पे, right? And bottom line thumb rule is I think normally 6 to 7 marks पे sectional cut off आ जाता है किसी भी section का. 8 no, to be safe try to get 8 to 9 in every section as you go through. So that's the advice that I have. Now any questions that you would like to ask me? So I can take a few questions in the next 2-3 minutes before we wind up and stop. Maybe I'll also do a small walk while I'm doing this. ऐसे में first create the idea what you want to speak. I mean don't एक idea एक thought होता है हम लोग का ऐसे में. Flukes मत mark करो when you're down to 2 options. When you're down to 2 options तो उसमें से एक mark कर देना. लेकिन फ्लूक ऐसे ही कि मतलब 5 ऑप्शन देखो 5 ऑप्शन का एग्जाम है तो फ्लूक चलने नहीं वाले तुम्हारे, राइट? अगर रैंडमली मार्क करोगे आंख बंद करके तो 5 में से एक सही आएगा. दैट्स वाई -0.25 इसमें. सो डोंट गो इनटू फ्लूक आंसरिंग. फ्लूक आंसरिंग डज नॉट वर्क एट ऑल, राइट? मॉक्स में 25 to 28 आ रहा है. थोड़ा सा आई मीन मे बी डी आई एक सेट डी आई का एक्स्ट्रा करने का कोशिश करो पेपर में. पुश योर सेल्फ सो दैट यू कैन डू वन एक्स्ट्रा सेट इन डी आई. one extra set in DM. I mean, एक एक्स्ट्रा DI और DM का सेट्स अगर 2 निकाल लो एक्स्ट्रा तो 30s में पहुंच जाओगे. ठीक है. Coming back to essay writing में I think your focus should be on first building a framework. I mean, before you, I mean, what a lot of people do इसकी ऐसे का नाम मिलते से ही स्टार्ट कर देते हैं लिखना. तो before you start writing the essay, and I think you're going to have a choice in the essay. So before you start writing the essay, first ideate कि तुमको लिखना क्या है, structure कर लो. And more importantly than about how many words you write and how good your English etc. is, the structure of the essay is going to be more important for you. So structure पे focus करना, structure of the essay पे, before you write the first word. So if it's an argument that you're supposed to write, so you have to, before you start writing the first word, you should know where your argument is closing. So that then when you start writing, you say you plan how many paragraphs you're going to write this in. वो planning कर लेना. उसके बाद what is your theme of every paragraph? तुम क्या बोलना चाहते हो? जैसे for example, let's say for example, there's an essay, the pros and cons of the GST bill. Let's say there's an essay like that. So what you would want to for Indian business, suppose that is the essay. I mean, essay can be anything. उनका काफी कभी vague topics भी आता है. But I'm just trying to give you an idea of how to think about your essay. So what you should do, I mean, if I have to think about this, I'll say that, okay, my first paragraph will be what is the GST bill. My second paragraph will be, so my first paragraph is going to be informative. My second paragraph is going to be about the pros. What are the advantages of the GST bill for Indian business? Because if it's saying the advantages of the GST bill for Indian businesses, so then I should be focused on maybe 3 or 4 points I want to bring out as the pros. So I'll start thinking कि कौन से 4 point मैं बोलना चाहता हूँ. ठीक है, streamlining of processes, streamlining of taxes, so many 4-5 things I want to talk about, right? The advantage of input credits, etc. तो ये 3-4 point मेरे दिमाग में आ गए, pros में लिखूंगा. Cons मेरे को क्या है लिखने होंगे? I mean, so my third paragraph will be about cons. If I find any problem, so a lot of traders are harassed because of the fact that they have to maintain accounts, etc., which is an additional burden on them from the business viewpoint. And a lot of people, I mean, you can think of a couple of cons. So your third paragraph is going to be cons, and the fourth paragraph is your conclusion, where you're going to talk about or weigh the pros and cons, and then come up with a conclusion ki, okay, I think this is better, this is good for Indian business on this thing. So my conclusion day one, I mean, before I write my first word, my conclusion defined hai. So this is how you plan your essay structure. I mean, this is how you, I mean, when I write a book, I plan the entire book. मेरा हर chapter plan हो जाता है before I write the first word. So when you write the essay, the same structure applies. What's your first paragraph? What's your second paragraph? What's your third paragraph? What's your fourth paragraph? तुम पहले define कर लो उन चारों को, उसके बाद लिखना शुरू करो, right? Yeah. So out of the questions and quants, I mean, देखो quants में typically जो thumb rule है ना, कि तुम अगर CAT में जितने questions कर पा रहे थे, suppose 22 question में से तुम 6-7 question कर पा रहे थे CAT में, तो यहाँ पे 19-20 question में से तुम 5-6 कर पाओगे, उतना ही कर पाओगे. So तुम्हारा ratio उतना ही रहेगा, right? Because the paper is going to be similar in terms of difficulty levels, etc. So my thought is that DI पे डिपेंड करेगा. अगर तुम्हारा DI तुम अगर 70% क्वेश्चन सॉल्व कर लेते हो और कॉन्ट्स में 50% क्वेश्चन सॉल्व कर लेते हो, तो सेक्शन तो बहुत अच्छा निकल जाएगा, राइट? 10 out of 19 डिपेंड करता है, 19 आएगा, 16 आएगा, 22 आएगा कॉन्ट्स में, वो देखना पड़ेगा कितने क्वेश्चन हैं, बिकॉज DI सेट नंबर ऑफ सेट्स पे डिपेंड करेगा. ठीक है, राइट? सो I hope I have been able to answer your questions today and give you something valuable. And I'll see you again tomorrow. tomorrow maybe just a best of luck message for all of you. And do follow me on the channel. Do spread the word around. Help me gain a little bit more followers than we have. And do share the videos. And if you're not subscribed, please do subscribe to the channel. I'm live every night at 11 p.m. At least 4-5 days a week. Some days I don't come live because I don't think I've got anything to say. मैं crap बोलने में विश्वास नहीं रखता हूँ. I try to make sure that I give value for whatever time I spend. There should be value from my side so that there's value for your time and there's value for my time. Chalo. Thank you so much. Bye bye. See you.